What if the very thing that sets you apart is the key to everything you're striving for? Welcome to Uncommon Edge, the podcast for those who are done with the ordinary and ready to own what makes them different. I'm DJ Neumann, and if you're here, it's because you know you're built for more. You're uncommon by design, ready to break boundaries and build a life of purpose, success, and impact. Each week, we'll dive into hard-hitting strategies, raw stories from the trenches, and the tools that will sharpen your edge. From game-changing lessons to deep-diving interviews, this is your space to rise up, build, and make your mark. Whether you're growing a business, dreaming of starting one, or looking to level up in life, you'll leave each episode with insights and inspiration to make it happen. You weren't designed to blend in, you were designed to stand out. So if you're ready to defy the norm and bring out your best, let's dive in, get to work. Your journey to owning your uncommon edge starts now. Hey, welcome back to the Uncommon Edge. I'm DJ Neumann, and this is episode 2. If you watched or listened to the first episode, thank you and welcome back. I guess I didn't scare you off all that bad yet. But this is something that I wanted to touch base on. We introduced what the Uncommon Edge is and the concept behind it in the last episode. And in this episode, I wanted to dive into maybe a more popular thing that's going on. And me being from Metro Detroit is huge in the news right now because of one of our sports teams. You know, the Detroit Lions have gone from a losing team to an absolute contender, and it's not by accident. They've embraced their identity, leaned into their players' own unique uncommon edges, and built something unstoppable. And I started thinking to myself, what can we learn from their story to level up in our own lives and businesses? Now, I want to preface this with the fact that I'm not a huge sports fan normally. I'm the guy that likes to, watch a game here or there, and I'm there more for, enjoying friendships and stuff like that rather than the game. I get excited about them just as much as the next guy, but I'm not diehard. I don't know all the stats, all that type of stuff. But even myself, I couldn't deny the fact that there's something super special going on here. My wife and I went down to a Lions game recently, and the energy was absolutely infectious, and it was so cool to see. And so now the Lions, yes, the team that used to be an absolute punchline, have become one of the most inspiring stories in sports. And if their turnaround holds lessons that could transform us, I wanted to try to pull some of that out. So, like the Lions, you might be feeling like the odds could be against you, or, maybe you're stuck. But just like them, you've got an edge as well. And when you discover and sharpen it, you can change the game for you too. So I wanted to start this episode off by pulling out some of the important people in the Lions. I'm not going to touch base on all of them, but the ones that I've heard the most of in the news and seen everybody talking about. So let's look at who is redefining what it means to be a Detroit Lion. These aren't just athletes. These are examples of what happens when you absolutely embrace your edge. And that's the whole point of this podcast and what I'm hoping to inspire in you. Let's start off with Dan Campbell. He is literally the grit leader. Dan Campbell embodies, grit and authenticity. He's not trying to be anybody else. He's building a team that reflects his values. And his edge, in my opinion, is just relentless leadership. Dan's edge lies in his authenticity and his absolutely unshakable grit. He's not just a coach, he's a culture builder who inspires his players to embrace, toughness and accountability, his willingness to take risks and think unconventionally, sets the tone for the entire organization. Like, I mean, have you been seeing the memes that have been going around? I mean, they're sitting there, talking about this guy has just absolutely massive, and I can't help but laugh at all these memes, and it's awesome because it's inspiring for him to take risk. I saw him doing an interview where he was talking about, that's boring, like to just to do the thing that everybody else does. I want to go ahead and take the risk and make things happen, which, might be giving you a heart attack from time to time, but that's his edge, and he embraces it and he takes action towards it. So, why does it work? Well, leaders with authenticity create buy-in and inspire loyalty. That's huge, even when the odds are stacked against him. Leadership is more than just strategy. It's about showing up as your real self, and that you are leading from your own strengths. That's a huge thing, even as a business owner, and hell, even showing up for your family, your kids, your wife, your friends, your family. Like, these are things that you need to show up as your authentic self. Even coming in and doing this podcast, the suggestion was brought up to do this Lions episode, and the first thing I thought of was like, man, like, I don't know enough about the Lions and all the players and stuff like that to actually do an episode on them. But like, authentically, I was like, there are lessons to be pulled and drawn from here, and I was inspired by that. So you can pull those authenticities out, if you're just willing to take action on those things. Now, even though Dan Campbell is constantly in the news and he's doing his thing, there's another guy that you guys are definitely familiar with, and his name is chanted all over the place. Even at the Detroit Opera House, at a high school cheerleading competition, U of M hockey game, the Red Wings game, at the Pistons game.
Goff chant cheers at Van Andel Arena. This is awesome.
And Van Andel and the Griffins, while the Griffins are playing. I mean, these are, his name is being chanted all over the place. And I want you, before I get into Jared Goff's stuff, I want you to think about, like, why are people chanting him on so much? And it's like we talked about in the last episode, it's that underdog comeback story and just resilience. And I want you to really think about, like, the people that are out there that are cheering you on. And if you know what, there's no one cheering you on at the moment, that's okay too. You got to cheer yourself on. I guarantee you there was a time with Jared Goff where he was the only one cheering himself on. And so Jared Goff's, like, whole thing is he's such a resilient quarterback. His journey from being doubted to thriving with the Lions is all about resilience, and he didn't let the critics define him. So, like, what is Jared's uncommon edge? Well, I think his uncommon edge is, composure under fire. Jared Goff, he has this ability to stay calm and focused in, like, super high pressure situations. I mean, like most quarterbacks are supposed to be able to do. But after being written off by many and, like, doubted his capabilities, he doubled down on his strengths, his precision, his leadership, his decision-making to lead the Lions to a whole nother realm. So why does this work? Well, his resilience and focus allows him to be a true leader and to, like, for example, entrepreneurs to weather the storm like we have to. It's a big thing to prove the doubters wrong. there have been many times where I've been doubted, and I know you've probably been doubted from time to time, whether it's been by family members or friends or whoever, coworkers, bosses. You got to have that resilience, and that in itself is its own edge, So I want to have you ask a question when it comes to Jared Goff here is what's one area where you need to block out the doubt and lean into your strengths? I'll tell you, when I was approached to do this podcast, I started having imposter syndrome. It was what is it that I'm going to bring to the table? Even though I have all this education and stuff like that, it's man, there's I'm going to have to be talking a lot, and especially early on before we have guests and stuff like that, I gotta maintain the conversation with myself, which is hard. So I had to remove the doubt in myself to show up and do this podcast and do things like that. So think about that when you have thousands and thousands of people booing you, the amount of resilience it takes to just to get back in the race and just deliver. And then, when you get a little bit mud on your face, to show up and deliver again. It's the amount of times at bat. And that is an uncommon edge all in and of itself. Just coming into the game over and over and over again. And this isn't just Jared. There's plenty of athletes that do this, but since this is the episode we're talking about Lion stuff, man, I thought it was so cool to bring that out. And the fact that I got to see that live and in person down at Ford Field was really cool. So the next one is the duo that is everybody's favorite, it seems like right now. And that's Sonic and Knuckles, Jamar, Gibbs, and David Montgomery. So let's start with Jamar and talk about what Gibbs is bringing to the table. He's the speed specialist, right? So Jamar Gibbs has earned his nickname as Sonic, right? For those of you that don't know, for his blazing speed and ability to outrun the defenders. He's quick, he's elusive, and he's a constant threat to make big plays. So his edge is his explosive agility. Gibbs thrives in his elite speed and quick decision-making ability to make him a constant threat to defense. His edge isn't just physical, it's also his ability to identify opportunities very quickly and capitalize on them almost instantly. It's wild. So that's why they related him to, the Sonic the Hedgehog. And, why does this work in, obviously in football, that's a big thing. But agility and quick thinking are vital for seizing opportunities before they slip away. So this can happen in business and in all kinds of relationships, anything to deal with, health, wealth, relationships, and just being decisive and quick to action, but the big lesson that I pull away from Gibbs though, speed isn't just about the physical ability. It's about knowing when to act. Where in your life can you move faster and seize opportunity better? When I was watching him in the field, it was just absolutely amazing, him dodging these people and running around so fast. It was super inspiring to see. And the cool thing is with this whole Sonic and Knuckles thing that they're bringing in, it's now the fans are giving him a reputation to live up to even more so. So not too long ago, they had them walking in with the mascots, Sonic and Knuckles, and I thought that was really cool. But it's embracing those unique characteristics and bringing it forward. So when we get into David Montgomery and the whole Knuckles aspect, he's the grinder, man. Montgomery's edge is his toughness. He fights for every yard and never backs down. So his edge is his relentless determination. His edge is his toughness and refusal to back down. His he fights for every yard, even in the most challenging circumstances. I know I'm repeating myself here, but it's like, it's absolutely massive when he just keeps pounding through. His ability to like wear down the defense shows his perseverance. And, you know, this works really, really well because he's just got absolute like grit and determination, and he outlasts, you know, his talent alone. You know, and that's proving to be absolutely invaluable when the going gets tough. So the thing that like I'm pulling out of that is like his persistence isn't really, it's not that it's flashy, it's powerful, you know. And I want you to think and ask yourself, like, you know, where in your life do you need to grind a little bit harder? You know, that's everybody can pull a little bit more out. So for you to like push through to your next big challenges, if you got linebackers in front of you and you got to push through them to get that goal, you know, what is it that you're going to do? Like, I just remember talking about this thing not too long ago about business, and somebody was talking about, oh, you know, could you get $10,000 if you absolutely need to? And the you know, the customer's like, no, I absolutely can't. There's no way. And then they're like, well, what if like it was a hostage situation and you needed to get the $10,000? Well, all of a sudden you're going to figure it out, man. You're going to sell stuff. You're going to get to family members. You're going to do whatever it takes to get that money. And so one of the things that I absolutely love about like Montgomery and his edge is the ability to like to dig really, really deep and find that like extra little bit, no matter what. Just dig super deep. And then the last one that I wanted to bring up was Jake Bates. You know, his precision under pressure is insane. I mean, everybody's chanting his name pretty good right now. But Jake Bates is turning heads with his ability to deliver under high pressure situations, whether it's, you know, nailing a critical field goal or staying composed when the stakes are high. Like, his edge and his calm focus is just unsurmountable. So, the lesson that I have for Bates is pressure like reveals your character. You know, what areas are you practicing staying calm and focused under pressure to deliver your best results? Or is the pressure getting to you? You know, each one of these guys that we're talking about here, I know we kind of ripped through them fast, but they all have these cool edges that pull into their game. So whatever game you're playing, it could be, you know, business, and it could be family. It could be whatever it is that you're trying to do, whatever you're trying to win. There's going to be an uncommon edge that you have that is gonna just gonna give you that competitive edge that you need. Like, the Lions were literally the laughingstock. I mean, they were selling 0-16 shirts, and like, it was like they couldn't give tickets away. And now the tickets are selling for record highs. The stadium sold out time and time again. And it is just so cool to see that happen. So, like, how can this turnaround story affect you? Maybe you're going through something right now, and like, maybe you're having an 0-16 season mentally or emotionally, or maybe, you know, you're not showing up for your family as good as you want to, or your team members, or, you know, or yourself. You know, a lot of that stuff starts with you. So, just like the Lions reinvented themselves, maybe you need to reinvent yourself as well. And if you're on your way to a winning season, hell yeah, keep it up. It's awesome that is happening for you. But the Lions' success isn't just about talent. It's about mindset. It's about culture. It's about strategy. I mean, let's break down what we can learn from their playbook and the edges that they're bringing out. The Lions didn't just let their losing record define them. They used it as fuel for their comeback. Like, that was a thing. And there were some diehard Lions fans that I saw, like, even during the 0-16 season, were like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And, it took a long time, but it finally is happening. And now everybody's coming out of the woodwork. Oh, they're chanting them on. They're chanting them on. And it's crazy to see. So think about the recent setback that you might have had, or maybe it's been a long time setback. What did it teach you? And, how can you use that lesson to move forward? I've said this a few times before, but the cool thing, this is something I learned from Jim Rohn. The good thing about bad times is they don't last. And the bad thing about good times is, you guessed it, they don't last. And the Lions just proved that. That curse, that Lions curse is finally lifted. It took time. It took work. It took resilience. But we're back on top. So Dan Campbell built a team culture based on grit and determination, right? Your business needs to be clearly identified what you guys are trying to do as well. So if you're, trying to start a business right now, or you're currently in business or whatever, you got to get super clear on the identity of what that culture and that grit and that determination needs to be in your business. This is something that is easier said than done. It's something that I've had to redefine in my company a few times. And, it's an ever evolving thing. Like I mentioned in the last episode, sometimes, you have to go back a season or two and replay some things, because you're going to watch those things back or hear those things back as a different perspective. You're going to hear things differently. You're going to see things differently because you have new clear objectives, new clear goals. And, when it comes to like the teamwork, the Lions win because each player owns their own role and contributes to the team's goals, right? If they were all Jared Goffs, well, it probably wouldn't work out so well. If they were all Gibbs, it wouldn't work out so well. You have to understand everybody's contributing role and what that's going to be. We talked about in the last episode about the superheroes. It's like the Avengers, right? Each member of the Avengers has a different unique ability. Same with X-Men or whatever. I know I'm nerding out a little bit here, but each of one of those characters, each one of those superheroes has a unique, uncommon edge. And without those contributing factors, they wouldn't be able to come together to be an unstoppable force. So what's one task you're holding on to that someone else could be doing better? How can you focus on your edge instead? This is something that I want you to really sit down and think about. When you're doing your hiring, how are you bringing people onto your team, and are you looking for their individual superpowers? If you're the smartest person in the room, you're probably in the wrong room. These are all big things to consider when you're looking for different edges for your team. So, I want to kind of start applying these lessons to build a championship team in your organization or in your family. You have to understand that success doesn't happen by accident. It takes intentionality. Let's talk about how you can build your own edge in whatever it is that you're trying to come up with. Last episode, I asked you some questions, and hopefully you wrote them down, and you're now staring at this piece of paper trying to figure out, What's the one thing that makes me unique? What's the thing that makes you unique? And when you've uncovered that, or maybe you're early on in your journey and you're just trying to figure that out, or maybe you're like, hell, this is exactly what I do and I know exactly what my power is. Cool, well, let's start to leverage it. Let's create a game plan, a playbook. What's the one small step you can take this week to sharpen your edge, whether bringing it out further or refining it and embracing it and just making something happen with it. And then let's celebrate that progress. Man, there is no shortness of celebration in Detroit right now. I mean, it is absolutely wild with all the stuff that's going on, and it wasn't always that way. And I want you to start thinking about like the wins that you've had recently, big or small. It does matter. There is a book called The Gap and the Gain by Dan Sullivan. Highly recommend you read it, because sometimes we are always so much in the gap. When the Lions were losing, everybody was always looking at all the other teams and, oh, look how amazing they are. And, oh, if the Lions could only play like this. And they're all talking about what we didn't have. And once we started embracing what we do have and start getting like our teeth sunk into the fact of, hey, we're going to make do with what we got and we're going to sharpen what we do have. The grass is green where you water it. And Dan Campbell came in and started doing that and lifting up his team, taking responsibility when he makes a blunder. And then when things do go out well, he's celebrating the team. Like, that's a selfless leader. That's awesome. And, you can learn from the Lions and on how they did that with, their organization. How are you doing that in your organization? Like in your business, in your family, in your mind. That's super, super powerful. So I want to close this with a challenge to you. I want to start to have you think about how the Lions show us that no matter how tough things get, resiliency, identity, teamwork can turn everything around. What's one way you'll apply one of the edges that these guys are bringing out into your life, or your own unique edge? If this is resonating with you, share it with someone who needs to hear this. And, hit subscribe. We're just getting started on this journey together. And, I'm looking for ways to, really bring out the unique edges in common things around you. And we're going to get into some lessons here in the next episodes on like tactical stuff. We're still talking high level things, and I want you to start looking at all the different examples around you. But most importantly, not just like reaching for that next big goal, but also looking back and understanding like where you've come from and all the successes that you've had. Even if it's just, hey, I made it through this year. That's okay too. But if you've had like really big things happen, that's awesome as well. Start celebrating those things. Remember that, God don't make no junk, and you are uncommon by design. And in that uncommonality, all these amazing things have happened in your life. And I guarantee if you really, really, really paid attention to what's going on in your life, you would realize that there are people that you're affecting that you don't even realize it. I guarantee, the Lions, when they're doing their thing, they're not thinking they're inspiring this podcast. There's no way. Like, there's all these things that are happening that starts a ripple effect. And that all starts with the actions that you take. So I want you to come away from this episode, like getting pumped up, like getting that urge to like get out there and do something great, and get inspired by the fact that, you know, even if you're in a rough patch right now, man, that does not mean that that's going to last forever. Matter of fact, it's going to make you stronger and better, because it's going to give you that story to tell. Like I said in the last episode, man, nobody roots for the guy that always has good things, like that the good stuff's always going for you, man. Like they root for the underdog. So at the end of the day, man, if you're going through a rough patch, that is your story to write. Like, how cool is that you have the opportunity right now to look around and say, hey, you know what? This is my story. This is my origin. This is my season. The Lions had to deal with that for year after year after year, after ridicule, after ridicule, after ridicule. And now it is their time to shine, and good for them on that, man. Like, totally good for them. But all of a sudden it's like, oh, they're the overnight success. Well, no, it's not an overnight success. Like, sometimes you might be there in business right now and you're doing really, really good. But people aren't looking at the years and years and years of failures and facts that you've tried more than you've succeeded. And so sometimes you have to learn to fail forward. Failing forward. With each season, they got better and better. They got better recruiting strategies. They got better, coaching strategies. They got embraced in the teamwork. Then they caught big momentum. And like we were talking about with the bicycle analogy in the last episode, man, they are flying. And with more momentum, the more speed you're going to pick up. And, you know, at that point, it's like a freight train, man. It is unfreaking stoppable. And the same is going to apply to you. You know? So what are you doing right now? You know, you're driving, maybe you're working out, maybe you're just laying in bed. Like, I don't know where you're listening to this right now, but wherever that is, I want you to look around the room and start thinking about like the opportunities that are around you, the people that are around you that could be your cheerleaders, because I promise you, all these people that are running around the Lions right now, cheering them on, were not around the Lions cheering them on when they were 0-16. And that's powerful, because that means you're going to start to win, because you're going to find that edge. You're going to find the uncommon edge. You're going to start to sharpen it. You're going to learn how to wield it. You're going to make things happen in your life, for your family, for your friends, for your business, but most importantly, for you. When's the last time you held a promise to yourself? You know, unfortunately, we as people will have no problem making excuses and lying to ourselves, but you know, we'll get up and make things happen for a complete stranger. You know, I still haven't figured out the secret sauce on why that is, because heck, I deal with the same thing. It's easier for me to get up and do for others than it is to get up and do for myself. But you got to get that resilience out there. And I want you to know that I am cheering for you right now. So if it feels like nobody is cheering for you, I am cheering for you. I am so excited for you to find your uncommon edge, and we're gonna get this out, and we're gonna make this an awesome thing. And I can't wait to start hearing your success stories as we start wielding these things together. Coming up in future episodes, we're gonna be doing interviews and other things like that. If you want to come on the show and talk about your uncommon edge or your discovery of your edge or anything along those lines, by all means, there's going to be a link in the description where you can learn how to do that. We're going to have ways for you to really engage here and coming up with some different actual executable things for you to work on. So moving forward, I want you guys to know as well that it's going to be a mix of like some interviews as well as lessons. And then we're going to be talking about things that are like happening throughout the year in my own company and how we're applying those unique things as well. So I want you to also go through and evaluate your team. If you're a manager, if you're a business owner, I want you to start looking at your team in a new light. Rather than focusing on what they do wrong, start focusing on, what are the things that they're really good at? What are the positive edges that I can pull out of these woodworks and start really honing in on them? I think it was Albert Einstein that says, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it'll go the rest of its life thinking that it's stupid. I don't know if you've heard that before or not, but it's a really powerful thing, man, because a fish can swim really, really fast. It's an amazing thing. It can breathe underwater. It's got all kinds of unique powers that it can do, but it can't climb a tree. And that's the thing that you got to understand. Sometimes you get the right people on your bus, but you're not putting them in the right seats. At the end of the day, guys, I hope this little story, gets you hyped up, gets you focused on the turnaround that's coming in your business. And I really hope this was something that was fun for you guys. And hopefully I didn't do too bad of a job with the sports analogies, because like I said, I'm not huge into it, but I couldn't help but think of like the power behind what's going on right in my own backyard at the moment. So on that part, man, I hope you guys stand out and stay sharp. I'm DJ Neumann. We'll see you next time.